Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Powerhouse U. Today, I am accompanied by Reginald Hart. And Reginald Hart is actually one of the group members for a multifamily mastermind that I'm in, who has, in fact, took a lot of the information that he's learned in that mastermind, as well as information that he's learned from his own personal experience, and started investing. And he is located in Atlanta, Georgia. And I wanted to have Reginald on the show with us today to talk about where he started, where he is now, and where he sees everything going. So, without further ado, thank you, Reginald. How are you?
I'm great, and thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I'm great. I'm Reginald. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I originally started off in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm originally from the Midwest. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia about, I would say, 5 to 6 years ago. And before I moved here, I, started, was interested in investing into real estate. But since coming to Georgia, it kind of gave me even more of a fire.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so from what I understand, or what we talked about last time, is you actually got your start in wholesaling, right? And
Yes,
it was in part what happened during the pandemic that pretty much led you down this road, if I'm
correct.
not mistaken. So, can you give us a little bit of backstory about that and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, I would love to do that. Just to kind of give you guys like kind of a short history, a brief history of how I even got introduced to real estate as per se. I started off, on the other side of the real estate game, on the construction side of it. I started off as doing a general worker, as far as, doing the general labors on the construction side, roofing, drywalling, all the regular stuff that you do as a general. Went to college. Fast forward, went to college, got my business administration degree, bachelor's degree in business administration, and minor in project management. End up being a project manager for a small commercial company, well, small residential construction company. And what they did was they built residential properties from the ground up. So I ended up being a project manager with that company and overseeing about 220 different projects as far as building them from the ground up. This was all while I was staying in Wisconsin. To fast forward a little bit, from there, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I moved here preferably to take care of my mom, who was sick. That may she rest in peace. She died recently here about 6 months back. Uh, so yeah, I moved up here to take care of her. Had a small job driving a forklift when I started off while taking care of my mom, and end up losing that. I ended up losing that job, forklift management, and I lost the job during the pandemic. Like everybody during the pandemic, we all went online trying to find work from home jobs, try to find things to start a business. I always been an entrepreneur, so and I was figuring out what did I want to do as far as the business. Now, mind you, I kind of skipped over that I did do property management too while in Wisconsin, open my own business in property management, which is going in bank-owned homes and making sure those bank-owned homes stay up to code, uh, make sure the line is cut, make sure that, winterize the property. Them are some of the things I did all while before I actually got into the investment side of the real estate. Uh, so fast forward back in Atlanta, Georgia, mom's end up passing away. I mean, I ended up losing my job. And once I lost my job, I searched the line, tried to figure out what do I want to do online. And I end up bumping into a video by and I don't know if it's cool to say his name, but I definitely bumped into a video by a guy that's
You can
pretty
say his
big.
name. It's okay.
No, I'm just, I don't know how they like, but he kind of did inspire me. He was a big person uh on wholesaling, and the
Who
reason
is
I
he?
identify, he called himself, let me go back, I don't want
Oh,
to,
you forgot his name.
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, because it was just on the tip of my tongue when I said that I didn't want to go on it and just say his name. Flip, Flip,
Oh,
Flip.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I think I know who you're
yeah,
talking
Mr.
about.
Flip. So yeah, I ran across his videos, and what inspired me that he was a black guy, my same complexion, talking about making money from home, talking about the real estate and how you can make money with real estate with no money down. Now, I didn't seen this concept before by Carlton Sheets, right? When Carlton Sheets came out with his course, and a lot of guys know about the Carlton Sheets. When he came, that's a little older though, but when he came out with his course, it was really unheard of, right?
Hmm.
And at that point, I tried to dip my hand in it as well and kept coming up with brick walls with ages because nobody actually knew of this mysteriously no money down getting houses technique. So make a long story short, watched a lot of his videos, and for me, I'm an action taker. So once I see something and I'm like, oh, I could do that, I go and try it out. Let me see if this really works. And my first few times, I definitely got some momentum. I actually got a contract my first couple of times trying it out, but
Yeah,
like
you.
being a beginner, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Even though I was in the construction aspect, I still was unfamiliar. How
It's a
should I be
totally
doing?
different ball game, huh?
Right. So it's like, so I'm getting contracts, but they over the ARV, or over what I should be getting them for. I'm getting these contracts, I'm getting them too high. Um, and I just couldn't close on a deal. Fast forward to a year later, I end up starting to get more familiar with how to comp properties, things like that, because I'm a numbers guy. I love to do the numbers. That's something that I do in the commercial field as well.
Hmm.
So, I started to learn how to comp the numbers and be more comfortable with, giving out offers. But at the same token, being in that field, something that I learned that you can't trust everybody, right? Uh, you got to count on people. You got to, kind of be, put your faith out there, but you want to be careful with who you put your faith in.
Yeah.
So
What
I
ended
bumped
up
into,
happening? Oh, I
huh?
was I was asking you what
Yeah.
happened. You got a horror story or something, or
Yeah,
just like,
well, it's not
oh
like a
man.
horror story. Well, I end up getting a great contract from an individual, and you know, I, I another buyer. I didn't have buyers. I didn't understand about how to go about getting buyers. That was another big thing and a big issue that I had coming in. Right.
Hmm.
So the other guy, he was in real estate. He did wholesaling before, and I got the contract. And so I'm like, hey, why don't we, you help me get the buyers? And he's like, I help you and everything like that. So I gave him all the information, everything. He was talking with the buyer, seller, and end up getting the seller to put the contract on freeze, so it could fall out of contract. And he picked up on the contract and took the deal right from up under me and had a buyer for it already. And things that I know now, I didn't know then, where we could go to the courthouse, we could put, a hold on the thing, let them know, hey, this and this and this. I didn't know all of that. So,
What's the
you know,
steps? What did you learn from that? Tell me again. You said
so
you.
what I learned from that, and I want to get the names just right, but because what I learned from that, I haven't did this in a minute, but what I learned from that is that anytime you get a property under contract, right?
Yeah.
And before you get to dealing with anybody else outside of that property, and a lot of people do this, some people don't, but for me, I do it every time I get a property now. I actually go and register that contract with the state, right?
Okay.
uh and doing that, you putting like an addendum, a hold on the property, right, per se, because you got an agreement with this seller. and you want to make sure that the seller holds to the agreement. So what you do is kind of like slapping a lien on a property, like if you have a contract lien or something on there. So if the seller goes to try to sell the property behind your back, or the seller breaches the contract, then that lien protects your interest. So that's what I learned from, that ordeal, that anytime you get a deal, put a lien on the property. I know a lot of people don't want to do it because they say, sometimes it look bad to the seller, or it looks bad to, the seller that you're dealing with. But,
protect yourself.
mind you, it protects you. It's nothing to be malicious about.
Mm-hmm.
So to make a long story short, that happened to me. And my second deal, I end up putting $1 down, end up getting $10,000, right? Now, this is over a year's time, guys. Oh, that's
no, you're here. You froze for a second, but
okay.
You're back.
Okay. This is over a year's time, guys. So, I get $10,000 over a year. Okay. That was my first big, okay, this could work. But what I'm going to make clear that it took a lot
12 months
for me to get there.
and the learning curve that went with it, right?
And even after I got that $10,000, I couldn't put it back into the business like I was hoping. I was behind on bills and things like that. So that $10,000 went into me catching back up on bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that process got me to thinking, man, I got to go out here every time. And I mean, if you're good, yeah, you're gonna get about 3 to 4 contracts a month, and you probably close on 1 or 2. And then when you get the system down package, you got your system going. It's gonna take time, but when you got your system going, then yeah, it may happen. But for me, right there, for me to be by myself in this journey, for me to not have all the money, the liquid assets that I need to get to start this system, it was going to be a struggle for me to constantly call all these sellers every day and to get a $10,000 a payout or $5,000 payout after 2 months, right? Because that money will have to go back to a bill. So I was like, it got to be a better way. It got to be a better way. I wanted to stay in a real estate field. I wanted to make sure that I was getting paid and I was taking care of my family. So my next choice, I said, well, let me find a real estate company to work for. So that took me to working for Capital Virtue, which I became an asset manager with them. Well, acquisition manager with them. So I was taking in calls, even though I was doing calls, I didn't have to do them so much. I just monitored the hot calls coming in. I closed on about 12 contracts right away. 7 contracts I took to title myself. So, in being introduced with them, I got introduced to the commercial aspect. I bumped into a person that was part of the GOB network, which introduced me to the commercial side. Now, I was always dibbling and dabbling as a wholesaler with the commercial, but didn't know what I was doing. Right.
Because up until that point, you were doing single family.
Correct. So we was getting these commercial deals, and the whole team would be just mind boggled on how do we get this deal off? Who do we know that'll buy a deal? And we'll just go, and the way that we was doing it, we'll go to all kind of investors that we know, hey, we got a good deal. We got a mind-blowing deal that's out this world. This is the price for the deal. So these investors coming back to us with like, well, what is the IRR? What's the cash on cash return? We knew none of this, right? It's a whole different ball game. When they say what is the IRR, I'm like, what are you talking about? The ARV?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, comparing multifamily to commercial.
Right. So
yeah,
that took me back. I was like, wow, I got to step back. This looked like a really good field to get into. It looks like you could get some money. And we were getting properties under contract, commercial properties under contract, not knowing their value, right? So I'm like, okay. The next thing I did, I said, let me figure out more about this commercial. So I started studying everything on commercial. What is cash on cash returns? Doing all of the, kind of get all the terminology because the terminologies was alien to me, you know. So I tried to get all the terminology down. What is cash on cash return? What is IRR? You know, what do they mean NOI? You know, what are they talking about when they say pref
Cap
returns?
rate,
Things like
yeah.
that. You
Entry
know,
cap, exit cap,
exit cap,
remodel,
things like that.
yeah.
So when starting to look at the language, it all took me back to the underwriting aspect of it. So that's how I got into the underwriting, which I love, right? I love to underwrite. I love the numbers. I love to figure out and get these investors the return that they want, right? Because that's my job. Now, you know, I mean, from there, and that's how I got into kind of the commercial aspect of it. And from there, so I can end it there if you got any more questions.
It's more so like a conversation, but I'm definitely listening to your story. And then too, so it was a complete switch. You still stayed in the same industry, which you were comfortable in, going from being a contractor, wholesaling, and then working for the company, and then multifamily. So it was a aggressive, fast progression to where you are now, considering
Yes,
how
it was.
far along the pandemic was, the move, like your whole life just went real quick.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Real quick.
man, it's quite a bit of journey. So from there, that was all over a 2.5 year period, right? I
Yeah.
went from all of that within that 2.5 years, starting off to be a wholesaler to commercial underwriting and raising money, right?
Yeah. So what
And
are
I
you
didn't
doing
even
with
get
that experience now? So where has it led you? And then as far as investing and what you're doing with everything that you learned,
okay.
what's up?
So what I'm doing with it right now is I'm out here aggressively helping other investors and other individuals invest in different assets. And I constantly scout and look for different assets as I do invest myself. Um, I take those techniques when I'm dealing with talking to investors, when I'm raising capital. Right now where I stand is we just had to cancel a contract on a 68 unit I talked to you about before, because of the times that, you know, the loan, it wasn't going to work. So we had to cancel that contract, but right at this point, I raised over $150,000 for my first capital raise ever for apartment building. So that's where I was, and I'm starting a meetup at once a month now up here in Atlanta, where we're going to do real estate meetups, bring agents, brokers, investors, and new people alike together, and learn this industry like I learned it. You know,
Have you started already, or is that something that
yeah.
you're?
So our, you know, we already had a preempt meetup last year, December. We
Yeah,
had a
last
preempt
month.
meetup. Yeah, so we did
Yeah.
a big meetup. I think it was December, November. We did that big meetup, which went pretty well. The next coming meetups is going to be for the whole year. So we're going to start doing them up here in Atlanta, Georgia, every third Saturday of the month. Yeah, in the KW office in Atlanta, Georgia, Decatur. Atlanta.
Congratulations. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, how do you feel working real estate has changed your perspective on life as far as looking into the future, as far as, let's just say, generational wealth for your family, or just making sure that you're comfortable? How do you feel like that's
So like,
changed your perspective on life?
so I would say this: a year ago, right now I got a goal of getting 1,000 doors this year. That's my
Mm-hmm.
goal. A year ago, I couldn't even fathom getting one door. Right. Um, it changed my life when it comes to the generational wealth aspect, right? Because it gave me more knowledge into how money works, how the industry and the money flows, how cash flow, how to get cash flow and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being in this industry, you learn not just real estate, but you learn how loans work, how interest rates are working, how taxes is working. You know, these are the different things that you are learning in this industry. So it's like a college, right? It has expanded my mind so much from where I was before. 2 years ago, I didn't think I could buy a house if my credit wasn't a 750, and I didn't have about $20,000, $30,000 in the bank. Today, I know that you could get a house for absolutely nothing. You could get an apartment for absolutely nothing. I know that, terms mean everything, right? I know that contracts mean everything.
Mm-hmm.
It changed my perspective on whether, back in the day, they say your word is your bond.
Yes.
Now it's all about contracts. It's all about that paper. That paper is your bond. That paper is what the difference is of you paying $1 million to you paying $100,000. The difference between you got to raise 5 million and you got to raise 1.5 million, right?
Right.
And that's what I learned. I learned dealing with people, how to deal with different people in different professions. That's another thing that you get. You got to talk to agents, you got to talk to brokers, you got to talk to city officials, you talking to governors, you talking to all these higher officials that I never, not me, think that I would ever be talking to, right? Or need to talk to, in a sense of being in real estate, right? I didn't,
But all
that
those
just blew.
connections are vital.
Mm-hmm.
It could be what gets you a step closer to closing the deal and things like that. I'm sorry, Reggie, my face has been itching this entire show. But yeah, that's what those relationships are important too, because your deals could come from there. Those relationships matter because it's the difference between an open door and a closed door, and you have to learn the language. You have to be confident in yourself, and you have to, put your best foot forward to get yourself into these rooms. So you would say
Right.
that it's all changed for the better, right?
I would say, yeah, it definitely changed for the better. Now you do have rough periods going through this.
Yeah.
All the partners that you meet you're not gonna like all of them. Be honest with you, all of them do not have your work ethic like you may have work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to learn how to deal with these different people, correct? Because I may never knew you, but then I'm asking you to become a GP partner in a building, in a multi-million dollar building that we gotta manage
Well,
for the next.
technically, isn't it? It depends on the deal, but you have to know the person if you put them in as a GP, right?
Well, I'm saying, like, what I'm saying is that you got to meet and greet, and
Oh,
you
okay.
gonna do all of that stuff, but
Okay.
you're not gonna,
You're
like, like, right, the feds, this is the thing. The feds say, hey, you got to know the people. Okay, so how I know the people, I say, hey, well, let's jump on a phone call, tell me a little bit about yourself,
okay.
come
I
to a
got
meeting,
you.
boom,
Hmm.
now
Now
you
you
own the
guys are
deal, right?
acquainted. Yes.
Now
Okay.
we're talking, we're doing this, but I don't know you, right? I don't know,
Hmm.
like, your life history, what you've been through, things like that, right?
Hmm.
Give you a prime example. One of my partners, that I'm not gonna say his name, but I was supposed to be merging. We was gonna merge with a different company. This is a different company than where I'm at now, but we was gonna merge with a different company. And the other company came back, and it would have been a great merger. We would have probably been making a lot of money right now.
Uh-huh.
The other company came back and said, well, we don't want to merge with you guys because your partner has a sex offense. Whoa, I didn't know that. I've been dealing with this guy. I mean, he has good character. Everything about him is right. I never once thought about doing a background check on him, right?
Uh-huh.
That's another lesson that I learned, right? Never once thought about doing a background check to see uh, if he had a sex offense. Now, and I want to say this and put this out here. My history wasn't glory and cream, right? I had a drug offense I caught 5 years ago. But, and that's where I think, that's why I thought that I wasn't really up on doing the background check because of my history.
Hmm.
But that just woke me up that you still got to do a background check, because this still could be the difference of $1 million and you getting zero, right?
Hmm.
Um, so, them are some of the lessons that I learned being in here. And some of the lessons, another lesson that I learned, know your stuff, right? Don't put your stuff in nobody else's hands to know it for you. I've been in deals where I raised the money.
I
I'm
think
supposed to
I
be up.
heard T-Pain say that and 50 Cent
Mm-hmm.
say that. Both of them say, and then I think T-Pain learned it from a harder experience than 50 Cent. He's like, make sure you
Hmm.
count your own money and know where everything is going, because it's
Hmm.
important, and look over everything yourself. I
Yeah,
will
know
forever
your
remember that.
right,
Yeah.
know your stuff because I've been in deals where I raised the money. And another thing, make sure you have, even if you go in these groups, get everything in writing. What the splits are gonna be from day one. Don't wait down the line. Don't wait till later on. Don't go by handshake and like say, let's finish this off first, or let's get this done first. No, write what everybody is expecting and get that sign out the gate, right? I
Mm-hmm.
raised money. This experience I went through, raised money. I was supposed to be on the GP side. After I raised the earnest money that actually saves the deal and actually makes the deal happen. I raised all of that. The guy come back to me and say, "Hey Reggie, we need you to bring in $10,000." But I don't have 10,000. I know that, but the investors that's coming in had the 10,000. So they said, "Reggie, we need you to bring in the 10,000, or you can't be on the GP side." Huh? So now you guys want to put me out the GP side. We had no contract, no nothing, right? So what I had to do to save that is go in up under the person that I brought in and come
Mm-hmm.
a co-GP and speak for them. But I'll say that to say this is that have everything in writing from the jump. Don't take a person word for yeah, this is where you're going to be at on the GP. Make sure that you got all your positions lined up and people know what they're going to be doing in whatever project that if it's you flipping a house, if you getting into a commercial asset with somebody, make sure you know what your role is going to be, and
Right.
make sure y'all have that in writing and y'all can look at it and see exactly what you'll be getting.
Right. Okay. Well, you shared a lot of information right here, Mr. Reginald Hart. A lot on your experience and background. All is appreciated. It's definitely going to be a learning experience for people watching it. Before we closed out the episode, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I just want to invite, if you guys get this, I'm going to be hosting underwriting workshops every first Saturday of every month and every last Saturday of every month. So
In
you guys are welcome to join.
the city
Um,
of the city.
Atlanta, but it's going to be on Zoom.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so
cool.
it's going to be online on Zoom. This is not going to be in person. So this is going to be online on Zoom. And for you guys that ain't in Atlanta, you guys definitely want to even got to brush up on some underwriting, or you want to put some deals together and you got some questions, definitely welcome to show up and let's try to, go over whatever questions and get some deals done. And if you is in Atlanta, be on the lookout for the meetup that's coming up on the 18th of February. I will be giving the date and time, so you guys within the next couple of days. So just be on the lookout for that and follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm beginning a YouTube page because I want to start my own podcast and do some things like that. So,
Right, right. Do you still
it's
have
some
your
new
Clubhouse
things.
channel or no?
Yeah, I still be on the Clubhouse, not so much
Yeah,
because of a lot of the stuff that's going on. So like right now, this is like more important to face with me
gotcha.
because that's building more the rapport with the investors and the people that I deal with and try to help, invest their money. So for
Okay.
them to get to know me face to face. So that's what I want to be doing all this year. I'm going to be doing a lot of that. So you guys can expect to see me in a podcast from me. I may have you on there as well.
Okay.
So,
I'm down for
oh
it.
yeah.
All right. Well, there you guys have it. Q&A episode with Reginald Hart from the East Coast, and I'm over here on the West Coast. I was about to sing
Oh
an
yeah.
Ice Cube song, but we're not gonna go there. But all right, well, thank you again for joining me on another
Well,
episode of Powerhouse U. Were you gonna say something else?
no, I says, well, thank you too,
Oh, you're
Jacqueline.
welcome.
Thank you
You're
as well.
welcome. No problem at all. So, until further ado, I'll catch you guys again soon. Bye.
Bye bye, guys. Thanks, Jacqueline.
You're welcome.